3 trebles. And this is another thing that you have to look out for when you're a beginner. You can have 4 groups and think you've finished a square, but you haven't actually made your 4th corner, so we have to make the 4th corner. And that's made by making 1, 2, 3 chains. And we need to make 1 more stitch for this group of 3 trebles, because at the moment it's only a group of 2 stitches. Okay, I'm going to pull up a loop here. We want to close up the centre of this ring. So I'm going to slide these stitches over a bit so I can see these strands in the middle. And I've got the tail, and I've got the 2 other strands here. It's that one that's right beside the tail at the front of the work that we're going to want to pull first. But if you forget that, and you want to remember which one you pull, you can always start pulling on the tail and see which of these 2 it is that moves first. And whichever one it is that moves first is going to be the one that you pull first in the same direction as the tail. So we'll give this tail a little tug this way, holding onto the base of these stitches so it can slide inside. And when we do that, we can see that it's this strand here that moves first. So that's the one we're going to pick up and pull in the same direction. Before we pull it up tight, I'm going to put my hook through the middle so that if we want a hole in the middle, we can keep it a consistent size. And we're going to keep pulling this loop in this direction until that's fairly firm around the hook. And now I'm going to get my tail from the back. It's coming through the back of the ring here, and I'm going to pull that in this direction as well, same way it was going at the beginning. And this loop here, this big floppy loop, will disappear. Just like that. You can pull it up fairly firmly. I'm going to take my hook out through the back. And the centre is a consistently sized hole if you do that each time. But if you want to pull this hole closed, you can keep pulling on the tail. Here. Going to hold in the middle and keep pulling in that direction. And the hole will close right up. Now, I already had that as a length of yarn before I started, but if you didn't, you would cut your yarn from the ball, put your hook back into the loop from the last stitch that you made and pull it straight up. Let's pull a wee bit tight on this. I'm going to loosen that a little bit. There we are, that's better. And now with a needle we're going to use this tail to put a top on the middle of this stitch here. It never had a top with not 2 strands nicely across the top. It's kind of missing one. So we're going to use this tail to give it a top and join it into a complete square instead of having this gap in the middle. So I'll get my wool needle. And there's a nice hint if you're threading wool needles. If you try to just thread them this way, it's too much fuzz. So you fold your strand over a needle and pinch it tight. So you've got this little nubby loop, and wriggle the eye of your needle over that. It doesn't have any fluffy bits. Then you can grab it and pull it through. So to put the top on this stitch here, we have to put our needle under the top 2 loops of this stitch. All of the stitches that are complete stitches have got 2 strands or 2 loops on the top of them, like this. So we find that full treble that we made and the 2 loops that are on top, and we bring our needle through them from back to front, like that. And to finish putting that top on this stitch, we find where this tail came out of the work here, and we put our needle down in the same place. And then we also, oops, put it back in the same place. We also, having put it down there, bring it down this strand here as well. And that's going to make a top on our stitch. Obviously that's much too big and floppy at the moment, but we want to take this tail out through the hole in the middle to the back. And now when we snug this up, we can adjust the size of that top on that stitch. And now all of our stitches are complete and our whole square is complete. And this middle stitch is now as tall as all the others and has a proper top on it. On the back, we have this tail which we can weave away. And I always weave it away at least a little bit. I normally go through these bumps on the back of the work, up and down, including these bumps on the back of the chain around the corner. And down through this bump on the first stitch of that group of 3 trebles, and down through 2 more strands on that stitch. This is just bringing me down the back of that stitch so that I can reach the centre where the tail is running through, and I can run this tail from the end through some of these loops as well that are right in the middle. And now my 2 tails are in the middle. They can be woven in some more later, but that just holds things secure for now so I can continue making the square. And now we have our beginning square for our granny. We have the hole closed in this one, but you could have it open. I didn't pull this too terribly tight, so if you wanted, you could start to open this hole up. You could put a needle through and give it a wriggle around, and that starts to open the hole. We might, if we're able to, we might be able to stick the hook in the middle, drive it through there. And that will start to open that hole up as well. We've got a little bit of ability to do that, not a lot at this stage, which is why if you want a consistent hole in the middle, it's best to put something in the hole before you tighten your middle and then leave it alone. So there we are.